Welcome to Legal Video Guys, your show about new media issues and the law with video, which is what we're doing here today. And my favorite subject today is online video, and bringing back my colleague and friend Daliah Saper, fellow Chicago colleague, because she's the principal attorney for Saper Law Offices, specializing in intellectual property law, media and entertainment law, litigation, and business affairs. And what do those things also relate to? Online video, my field. Daliah, thanks for joining me yet again. Haven't you learned your lesson?
Wow, so much pep. I love it, Grant.
Thank you. This keeps going. Well, what I want to ask you as a new media specialist, and I've seen you speak at several conferences now, is online video for commercial use, is it an important area of legal discussion today, and why?
Well, everything is online these days, and since people don't like to read, playing the play button on the YouTube video or whatever video may be, seems to be the way people are getting their information. So what the content of that video is can have a lot of legal implications.
Well, what would you say are people's understanding of the legal implications with online video? I see a lot of stuff out there that I'm not an attorney, but I think, hey, do they really understand what the law is, and do they think they can get away with that?
Well, we need to break down the issues. We have copyright infringement issues, trademark infringement issues, and then defamation and right of publicity, and a mix of all of those in most lawsuits. So with respect to copyright, you can't be projecting or using things in that video that don't belong to you. So at its core, you can't have other people's music, other people's movies, other people's artwork in your video.
So what then are the legal consequences? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that like to think, oh, hey, people aren't going to find out about it, or, well, if they found out about it, what are they going to do about it?
Well, if I find out about it and I'm sufficiently upset with your use of my song, artwork, other video, whatever it may be, I have the opportunity, or the right, I should say, to file a copyright infringement suit. And I can get a minimum of $750 up to $150,000 in statutory damages. That's a lot of money. And that's assuming that I've registered my work with the Copyright Office. But overall, it's unlike other areas of the law where it's just a traditional lawsuit. If the person does it right, they can also get attorney's fees and statutory damages.
And let's also add on top of that, if somebody's doing it for commercial use, they're professional, they have a clear business goal out of this. You know, one, all that work you put into it is going to be taken down. If you're doing it for a client, they can sue you as well. I mean, in some areas, if you really don't know what you're doing, there can even be criminal charges like the ones you meant, not fines, but we're seeing that happen more and more today. And I think what people need to understand is there's several groups involved. There's rights owners, and there's people who don't use or who don't have the rights to these things. So in your practice, how do you deal with people on both sides? Do you tend to represent people more who are the rights owners, or people who sometimes need somebody to justify how they use the video?
Well, actually, a right owner may be using somebody else's work and be a right owner and have other people's work within their work, if that was clear at all. For example, a derivative work. If I want to make a movie based off of a poem that I read, or a piece of artwork, or a sculpture, that movie is a derivative of that sculpture. So in order to make the movie, I would need permission from the right owner of the sculpture, the video, the song, but I would own the end product. I would be the right owner in the final motion picture. So the lines get blurred, and that's why you need an attorney to review the nuances of those licensing terms.
Is it a challenge for attorneys today with the law evolving, with technology going bigger and better, and even the culture changing around when so many more people can do video? Does this become something that for an attorney who might normally be a specialist in intellectual property law, that now they really need to follow up on all these things that are happening?
Well, what that lends itself to is those fair use defenses that you almost touched on by talking about the commercial nature of the video. So public opinion and context will play itself into a fair use defense, meaning I'm just making commentary about something. I am copyrighted, I am infringing on XYZ, but I'm doing it for a commentary purpose. Or everyone mashes up songs and does something new in this context. So an attorney has to understand context, and if they're not on Facebook themselves, or they're not twittering or on Twitter and tweeting, and they're not using the mediums, they'll have a tougher time using the analysis to argue that there was another purpose or better purpose for that use.
That makes a very good argument with selecting attorneys. Are they actually in the space? Are they actually participating in the space, and just by the nature of association or just by the nature of participation, they'll have an idea of why people do it, but also more a little bit of what the legal issues are involved, because that is their job. And that's what you do. You're in Facebook, you're in LinkedIn.
I do, and I use it both for personal and business purposes. And what we do is review social media campaigns for a lot of clients. We have several advertising agencies that ask us to review Facebook applications that they've created, or a contest that they're debuting on Facebook. Are there sweepstakes laws that get triggered because it's on Facebook as opposed to just available to the general public? Facebook itself has rules about how you can conduct business on its site. So you need to know and be able to understand the different terms of use and which ones apply when you're going on a social network versus just releasing the content out.
It just seems so many people, don't care to pay attention. Like even on YouTube, whenever you're putting up a video, there might be a sheet on, what are the rules that you have for, acknowledging anytime you put up a video that you're aware of what, this might be somebody else's work. But people tend to completely ignore that until it comes a time if somebody complains about it. And that just seems to still be the nature today, is it has to actually happen to them for them to be aware. And
when I got my foot wet in this area of law when the recording industry lawsuits were at the height of those lawsuits. If you remember, everywhere you turned, someone had been slapped with a suit for infringement. College students, for downloading or file sharing music through the various networks. And the first year you feel bad. You say, I didn't know, I thought it was free, or I paid a $30 subscription fee to this company out of Russia in order to get music, unlimited music. By the second year, by the third year, those excuses didn't fly anymore. Everyone knew that downloading was illegal. And so I think that it's partly education and partly just feeling that there are so many people doing it that it's got to be okay, until they see a suit for copyright infringement and are facing statutory damages of $750 to $150,000 and attorney's fees.
I think their ears will perk up when they hear those large figures and say you'll have to pay up in ways that could ruin your business or ruin your ability to make a living or make a career when you owe this much. And maybe that's the key thing now, is education and making people aware of these issues, on their level in a way that's easy to understand. Do you think that a guide, should be out there for people who can say, what are the issues? How does this relate to what I do if I want to get involved in online video or am getting involved in online video? And what do I need to consider, if I'm going to work with an attorney?
Well, I think the problem is there is so much information out there that if someone has hours of, and hours can compile that information, they can find what they need online. But that requires a lot of discipline. A guide with a nice, this is what you need to know about trademark law and copyright law and defamation law as it applies to your use of video, I think would be very helpful, Grant.
I think so too. Now, if only I could find myself a co-author. Let me look around this room. Well, Daliah, that is our little pre-awareness to having something that's easy to access, that's educational, informational about your legal guide to online video. And Daliah, thank you once again for educating our office in an informationally pleasurable way. I came up with that, as you'll know from future episodes. Well, that's it for Legal Video Guys, the show dedicated to new media legal issues showing video. As always, if you're all going to do video, you can be creative, you can be catchy, you can be edgy, but always just know what the issues are, be smart about what those issues are, and stay legal. Talk to you later.